Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Trump pledges for a possible deal between Russia and Ukraine during Alaska meet with Putin on Friday. Hints at possible land swapping between Kiev and Moscow for peace. EU leaders for Ukraine's freedom to decide its future. Washington, D.C. protests turn big after President Trump seizes control of police and deploys troops. And in a major Make in India push, government approves 4 new semiconductor projects with an outlay of rupees 4,600 crore. US President Donald Trump has described his upcoming summit with Vladimir Putin as a feel-out meeting to gauge his ideas for ending the Ukraine conflict. He also insisted that both sides in the ongoing conflict will need to cede territory. Trump's statement was firmly opposed by Ukrainian President Zelensky and the EU bloc, which reiterates its demand to include Ukraine's interests in the peace talks. Ayushi Bhatnagar brings us more in this report.
US President Donald Trump on Monday described his upcoming summit with Vladimir Putin as a feel-out meeting to gauge his ideas for ending the war in Ukraine, as European leaders rush to ensure respect for Kiev's interests, as Zelensky will not be in attendance.
I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind. And if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders, and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first, and then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting, or I may say we can make a deal.
If not,
well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
US President Donald Trump said Kiev and Moscow will both have to cede land to end the conflict in Ukraine, though Ukrainian President Zelensky and the EU have firmly ruled out ceding territory seized by force, while Trump remains a little bothered by Zelensky's stance.
I expect to have a meeting with Putin that I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. And I'm here for one reason: to get rid of a war that somebody else started. Should have never happened. And if I could end it, great.
Meanwhile, European leaders and Zelensky plan to speak with Trump ahead of his summit with Putin in Alaska on Friday. Moscow hopes the upcoming meeting between Putin and Trump will help in normalizing the relations between the two countries. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Monday that there were no signs that Russia was preparing to put an end to its hostilities in Ukraine, rather accusing it of launching new offensive operations.
There was also a report from the intelligence and military command on what Putin is counting on and what he is actually preparing for, including military preparations. He is definitely not preparing for a ceasefire or an end to the war. Putin is determined only to present a meeting with America as his personal victory and then continue acting exactly as before, applying the same pressure on Ukraine as before.
In a virtual emergency summit of the European Union foreign ministers, EU's top diplomat Kaja Kallas emphasized that any agreement must involve both Ukraine and the EU bloc. In a statement on Monday, the European Commission announced that Ukraine will receive 1.6 billion euros from profits earned on frozen Russian central bank assets, adding that the EU will work on a 19th package of sanctions against Russia and warned against concessions to Moscow. Meanwhile, 26 European heads of state and government said in a statement that Ukrainians must have the freedom to decide their future and that a diplomatic solution must protect Ukrainian and European interests. Ayushi Bhatnagar's report for DD India.
And the United States has extended a tariff truce with China by another 90 days. US President Trump signed an executive order late on Monday delaying the start of higher tariffs on Chinese goods until November 10th. The executive orders were signed hours before a 90-day halt of steeper levies between Washington and Beijing was due to expire. US President, in a post on social media, confirmed that he has ordered a 90-day tariff truce to delay reimposition of higher levies on Chinese goods. He further wrote that all other elements of the agreement will remain the same. The new order prevents US tariffs on Chinese goods from shooting up to 145%, while Chinese tariffs on US goods were set to hit 125%, rates that would have resulted in a virtual trade embargo between the two countries. While the United States and China slapped escalating tariffs on each other's products this year, bringing them to prohibitive triple-digit levels and snarling trade, both countries in May agreed to temporarily lower them. As part of the May truce, fresh US tariffs targeting China were reduced to 30% and the corresponding level from China was cut to 10%. And economists are beginning to detect early warning signs as US President Donald Trump's trade war has pushed up inflation, slashed US job gains and slowed the economic growth. Growth has slowed to an annualized 1.8% in quarter 2, far below the 3-4% Trump promised. Inflation is rising again, with core consumer price index up 3.6% year on year. Job creation has dropped below expectations for the second straight month. In July 2025, US consumers faced rising prices as import tariffs drove up costs for goods like furniture and apparel, pushing underlying inflation to its highest in 6 months, according to Goldman Sachs economist. The Labour Department's upcoming Consumer Price Index or CPI report, marred by data collection issues, reflects a 0.2% monthly rise, with core CPI climbing 0.3% due to tariff-sensitive items. Now, budget cuts and staffing shortages at the Bureau of Labour Statistics, worsened by President Trump's dismissed office head, Erica McEntaffer, have led to suspended data collection in several regions, raising global concerns about US economic data reliability. Food prices surged amid labour shortages from deportations, while pre-tariff inventories softened broader inflation spikes. As businesses pass on costs, consumers bear a third of the tariff burden, with fears of further increases looming. The Federal Reserve eyes a September rate cut, but global markets remain wary of escalating trade tensions. US President Donald Trump on Monday announced that he is placing Washington, D.C.'s police under federal control and deploying the National Guard to counter. Speaking at the White House alongside top officials, Trump said the National Guard would help restore law, order and public safety in the city. Trump also cast his action as a warning to other Democratic-run cities, naming Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Baltimore and Oakland as having very bad quote-unquote crime problems.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States. I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
And Trump's announcement is his latest effort to target Democratic-run cities by exercising executive power over traditionally local matters, and he has shown particular interest in asserting more control over Washington. Hundreds of officers and agents from over a dozen federal agencies, including the FBI, ICE, DEA and ATF, have fanned out across the city in recent days. US President Trump's announcement of deploying National Guards in Washington on Monday has sparked an uproar among the citizens who claim it is a bad move expected to backlash severely. Large numbers of protesters were chanting "Trump must go now" and carrying banners reading "National Disgrace." In the press conference at White House, while highlighting the lawless situation of the Capitol, Trump hinted that the move may follow in Chicago and LA and major cities with democratic governance. In the conference, Trump said that the national capital had been taken over by gangsters and criminals, adding that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, will oversee the police force. Meanwhile, the Democratic mayor of Washington, Muriel Bowser, has denied Trump's claim of violence, saying that the city witnessed lowest numbers of violent crime since past 3 decades. Now, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and Chinese President Xi Jinping held a pivotal hour-long call on Monday, reinforcing BRICS' role in defending multilateralism against U.S. tariffs. Lula, responding to Trump's anti-American label and tariff threats, rallied BRICS for a united stance. Xi emphasized BRICS as a global South consensus platform, with China and Brazil leading in unity. They explored new trade opportunities, especially in agriculture, as China absorbs Brazil's soybeans and coffee amid U.S. tariff barriers. Xi hailed historic ties, urging collaboration on global challenges like Ukraine, signaling a robust BRICS counter to unilateral trade policies. A German rescue ship, the Sea-Watch 5, saved 73 migrants in 2 separate operations in the central Mediterranean on Monday. The first rescue unfolded in the dead of night when 6 people were pulled from a boat in distress. Hours later, another operation brought dozens more to safety. According to UNHCR, while sea arrivals in Europe dropped by 24% in 2024 to about 200,000, the danger remains stark. At least 3,500 people died or went missing last year on routes to Spain, Italy, Malta, Greece and Cyprus. Now, firefighters finally succeeded in containing a blaze more than 12 hours after it started in southwestern France on Tuesday. The fire started late on the night of 11 August, claiming over 200 hectares of land in the Charente department. Though no casualties were reported, the dry weather and winds posed great difficulty to the firefighters as they struggled to contain the blaze. This was the second biggest wildfire France faced after many decades. Speaking to the media, President of Charente Departmental Council, Philippe Bauty, praised the firefighting teams for their tireless efforts.
I believe they did a job throughout the night that was exceptional, remarkable, with the mobilization of air resources from the outset of this fire. These resources and remarkable mobilization allowed to have a fire which today, as I speak to you, that is to say 12 hours after the start of the fire, is under control and contained.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Indian Gen AI startups reach new heights, attract $524 million in 2025, 4x growth since 2021. International Youth Day today, our special story on raising awareness about issues impacting youth. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. India's cabinet approved 4 more semiconductor projects under India Semiconductor Mission. These projects will come up in Odisha, Punjab and Andhra Pradesh with an outlay of rupees 4,600 crore under India Semiconductor Mission. These 4 proposals approved today are from 6M Continental Device India Private Limited, 3D Glass Solutions Inc. and Advanced System in Package, which is ASIP Technologies. 6M and 3D Glass will be set up in Odisha, CDIL is located in Punjab and ASIP will be set up in Andhra Pradesh.
आज 4 सेमीकंडक्टर प्रोजेक्ट्स अप्रूव हुए हैं, 2 उड़ीसा में, 1 पंजाब में और 1 आंध्र में। आप जानते हैं कि 2022 में जब सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन लॉन्च हुआ, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का दूरदर्शी नेतृत्व है, जिसके तहत उन्होंने लॉन्ग टर्म स्ट्रैटेजी के तहत काम चालू किया और कंप्लीट इकोसिस्टम पे ध्यान देने का प्रधानमंत्री जी का हमेशा मार्गदर्शन रहा। और साथ ही साथ जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अपनी बहुत अच्छी आगे बढ़ी है, उससे भी सेमीकंडक्टर की डिमांड लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है।
The Cabinet has approved the Phase 1B of Lucknow Metro Rail project, Uttar Pradesh, with corridor for a length of 11.165 km with 12 stations, 7 underground and 5 elevated. On operationalization of Phase 1B, Lucknow city will have 34 kilometers of active metro rail network.
लखनऊ मेट्रो का फेज 1B बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। लखनऊ बड़ा शहर है, वहां पर मेट्रो की बहुत जरूरत है, तो यहाँ पर हुआ 5,801 करोड़ रुपीस से। तो इस फेज से काफी बड़ी संख्या में पैसेंजर्स मेट्रो का लाभ उठा सकेंगे और नागरिकों के लिए बेनिफिट होगा। इस प्रोजेक्ट को 5 साल में कंप्लीट किया जाएगा। उत्तर प्रदेश मेट्रो रेल कॉरपोरेशन, जो कि भारत सरकार और उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार का एक जॉइंट वेंचर है, वो इस प्रोजेक्ट को एग्जीक्यूट करेगा।
In an article, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav highlighted India's growing Gen AI startup ecosystem, securing $524 million in the first 7 months of 2025, the highest in the last 5 years, and a massive leap from $129 million back in 2021, according to data from market research from firm Venture Intelligence, the minister said. So this surge comes as more companies turn to AI for smarter automation. It also mentions that the investors have doubled down on AI investments in the country. That's 4 times the $129 million AI companies raised in 2021 and $475 million in all of last year. Leaders like Fractal Analytics, Atomic Work and True Foundry help businesses level up their tech game. Elevation Capital alone boosted the AI deals from just a handful to about 15 to 20 over the last 2 years. Significant momentum in AI deal flows in 2025 compared to last year. There has been a surge in AI adoption by enterprises. As per latest EY report, global Gen AI startups raised $49.2 billion in the first half of 2025. And a giant leap for India's space story. Pixel Space India will lead a 1,200 crore mission to launch 12 cutting-edge Earth observation satellites. Built and launched in India, they'll guard our climate, borders and future, putting us firmly in the global space leadership league. Here's a report.
In a historic leap for India's space sector, InSpace has announced the selection of a Pixel Space India-led consortium to establish the nation's first fully indigenous commercial Earth observation satellite constellation. Partnering with PeerSight Space, Satcha Analytics India and Dhruva Space, the consortium will invest over 1,200 crore rupees to design, build and operate 12 state-of-the-art satellites with panchromatic, multispectral, hyperspectral and microwave SAR sensors. These satellites will provide high-resolution data for climate change monitoring, disaster management, agriculture, marine surveillance, national security and more, reducing India's reliance on foreign sources. Under the public-private partnership model, the government will offer strategic and policy support, while the consortium will own and operate the system. Over the next 4 years, the constellation will be deployed in phases, placing India among the global leaders in space-based geospatial intelligence. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
Now, tech giant NVIDIA made an unprecedented deal with the US administration to keep selling chips to China. US President Donald Trump on Monday confirmed reports that semiconductor giant NVIDIA would pay the United States 15% of its revenues from sales of certain artificial intelligence chips to China. As per the deal, NVIDIA will share up to $3 billion in revenue with the US government this fiscal year to sell its H20 chips in China. Silicon Valley-based AMD will also pay 15% of revenue on Chinese sales of its MI308 chips, which it was previously barred from exporting. NVIDIA developed the H20 chip and AMD developed the MI308 chip, especially for the Chinese market. In April, the Trump administration unexpectedly banned NVIDIA from exporting H20 chips to China, causing NVIDIA to lose billions and its stock to fall sharply. The export ban was lifted in July, but US lawmakers still worry about China's AI development. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. The Constitutional Council of Sri Lanka has approved President Anura Kumara Dissanayke's nomination of Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya as the nation's 37th IGP. This appointment comes after the historic parliamentary removal of Deshbandhu Tenakun through a legislative vote. A medtech startup, Cure Bionic in Tunisia, is making lightweight muscle-controlled prosthetic limbs suitable for children of 8 years and above age. The startup calls this development as a transformation to the future of prosthetics with AI-powered bionic limbs. Famous horror franchise Alien is set to evolve into an epic TV series as it introduces a number of surprising elements and interesting deviation from the script. Alien Earth starts streaming on FX and Hulu in the United States on August 12th and internationally on Disney Plus on August 13th. And the countdown to India's biggest inter-school football tournament has begun. The 64th Subroto Cup will kick off on August 19, bringing together 106 teams from across the country and abroad. The prestigious trophy, along with the official ball and kit, was unveiled in Delhi on Tuesday, setting the stage for over a month of intense action across New Delhi, NCR and Bengaluru. A report by DD India's Narayan Singh.
The trophy, official ball and kit for the 64th edition of the Subroto Cup were unveiled in Delhi on Tuesday. Air Marshal S. Shiv Kumar, Air Officer in Charge Administration and Vice Chairman SMSES, graced the occasion as chief guest. Indian women footballer Dalmia Chubbar also graced the occasion as the guest of honor. The tournament will kick off on August 19, 2025. This year's edition will feature 116 across junior boys, junior girls and sub-junior boys categories, including 4 international sides. The action will be spread across Delhi NCR and Bengaluru from August 19 to September 25.
The tournament has a unique format where champion school teams from every state and union territory, along with teams from friendly foreign nations, come together to compete for one of the most prestigious school-level football titles in Asia. It is not only a sporting event, but also a strong symbol of national integration and unity through sports.
Football is a sport that every country in the world plays, and it is a long way that we have to travel together. We have been moving ahead. We have been taking steps towards a golden future. And again, it is a matter of time that we can see that coming and we can see all of our teams doing well in the future. We are headed towards in the right direction because recently, a few days ago, our under-20 women's team also qualified for the Asian Cup after 20 years. And we can see that kind of change, that kind of development coming at the youth level as well.
The tournament will open with junior girls under-17 matches in Delhi NCR, followed by sub-junior boys under-15 in Bengaluru from September 2. The final phase featuring junior boys under-17 will start in Delhi NCR on September 26. Organized by the Subroto Mukherjee Sports Education Society under the Air Force Sports Control Board, the competition has been held annually since 1960 to promote grassroots football. This year, 7 players will also earn a chance to train in Germany. With 200 matches scheduled, the 64th Subroto Cup promises fierce competition and a true celebration of youth football.
Subroto Cup is nurturing the grassroots level talent in the Indian football. In the past, it has given multiple stars to the Indian football, and we are hoping that this edition of the Subroto Cup too will give stars to the Indian football. With camera person Sunil Rana, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
And International Youth Day celebrates the power, potential and promise of young people across the globe. Initiated by the United Nations in 1999, the day serves as a platform to raise awareness about issues impacting youth and to promote their active engagement in shaping the future.
Each year, the day is marked with a specific theme focusing on a pressing global challenge. This year's theme, Youth for Climate Action and Sustainable Development, highlights the critical role of young leaders in driving climate solutions and achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. From awareness campaigns and workshops to community projects and policy dialogues, governments, NGOs, and youth-led organizations are hosting events worldwide. The aim is to empower young minds with the skill, opportunities, and confidence to become change makers. In India, the day resonates strongly with the country's demographic dividend, where over 65% of the population is under the age of 35. Initiatives like Skill India, Startup India, and Fit India movement are enabling young Indians to innovate, excel, and contribute to national growth. International Youth Day is not just a celebration, but a reminder that the energy, creativity, and vision of today's youth are the cornerstones of a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable tomorrow. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India application. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.